So if I can sum it up, the issue is that we are not insects.
Yep.
Therefore, no exoskeleton. Well, we are deprived of any advantage. So we only have an endoskeleton, which is not very good. So we rely on muscle tension alone, which has become less because we are not hunters and gatherers.
Yep.
We are sitting typers. Charley and I will want to talk about
Core and core stability today.
Which is a big issue in rowing. Yeah, you think if you've got strong legs, that's essentially half the rent, as we say in German, but it's not. If you can't transfer, you've got an issue. And today we want to talk about why it is an issue and what is actually needed. Charley.
From the anatomical point of view, we humans, if we are rowing, it would be way better if we were insects. What do I mean?
Insects?
Insects.
Why?
Because insects do have an external shell that gives the structure and the stability.
You mean these insects with that, like an armor, so the shell of an...
The armor on the outside, we call it an exoskeleton. Insects do have something that is called an exoskeleton. They have the skeleton on the outside, which gives the structure and the form, and the inside can be completely loose and hang around. We humans, on the other hand, we have something that is called an endoskeleton. We have the bones inside, and our stability comes from the ligaments and the muscles.
But we don't have many bones in there.
We don't have, especially in the core, we do not have many bones. And the structural integrity, if you have a skeleton and put up the skeleton and let loose, it completely collapses down to the floor. If you have an insect, you can put it on a shell and wait there. So we need the activation and activated muscles, and which is exactly the thing that the modern man does not have anymore.
So this is, we should make a shout out to Grasshopper Zurich. There's a rowing club.
Grasshopper Zurich, go for it. No, we say, I always say with my patients as a joke, humans went from being hunter-gatherers to keyboard typers. Hunting, gathering, we had to be active, we had to move around, we had to have some muscles. Now we do everything. The modern life is doing everything to get rid of basic movements. Have an escalator. In America, you can even go to the ATM machines by car. Don't move it. Don't bend over. Don't do anything.
You just said it today with your luggage case. You said it's better to carry your luggage than wheel it around, because this is what we call a farmer carry today.
Yeah. Very funny. I have a new suitcase which I bought, which was a very old leather suitcase, and it has no wheels. And it was very funny for me because I'm so used for the last, I think, like 20 years, whenever you go to an airport, you wheel around your suitcase. And carrying the suitcase demands exactly what we're talking about, the core stability. This is the thing what we want to talk about today.
So if I can sum it up, the issue is that we are not insects.
Yep.
Therefore, no exoskeleton. Well, we are deprived of any advantage. So we only have an endoskeleton, which is not very good. So we rely on muscle tension alone, which has become less because we are not hunters and gatherers.
Yeah.
We are sitting typers.
Sitting typers. And there even is a special medical term that is the most threatening when you become older. It's sarcopenia. It means that after being, I think, 30 or 35, you lose 1% of your muscle mass per year, which is not, for the first 10 years, it's not very significant. But if you come to my age, like being 60, if you don't do anything, when you're 60, you have 30% less muscle mass, just because you're not using it anymore.
But it's not like a medical condition everybody gets. You can reverse it if you train properly. Is that true?
It is called a medical condition, but it is no medical condition. It is simply the lack of movement. The older we get, look at children. They are always constantly running around, moving. Or, like we had the last time, this deep squat for children is a completely normal way to sit. I am one of the few 60 years old who is able to perform it like that.
Yeah.
This is very bad. So we need to reverse this thing. This is theme for another video.
Yeah, okay.
Today I wanted to talk especially about the core. Core are the muscles that are the connection between the thoracic, the rib cage, and the pelvis. So on the back we have the spine, which is a structural bone dense thing, but that's everything. Up here in the front there is no connection, just muscular connection. And a muscle usually is loose. Muscle is not tense, unless you tense it. You have some tension in it, the famous core tension. And if you want to transfer energy from the legs to the arms, and this is not only by rowing, also when you throw, when you do, the first muscle that gets activated in any throwing motion or something is, in top athletes, it's the core that's activated. Core is a very broad thing. Usually you have these pictures of these bodybuilders with the six-pack, rectus abdomini, which is one of the muscles usually associated with being fit. Basically, it's the least important of all the core muscles that you're having. The rectus abdomini is simply in charge of making this movement, of bringing the rib cage down to the pelvic thing. Way more important are the muscles here on the side. And they are from outside to the inside. There are basically three muscles. There is a fourth one on the back, and the lat is also contributing a little bit to the thing. But the core muscles itself are three. It's the external oblique, the outside oblique. Bodybuilder, this picture with these gills down here, that are moving down here. These are the fibers of the muscle. It goes in that direction, from the rib cage down to the pelvis and here to the side of the six-pack. Then there is the internal oblique, which is the same, diagonal, but in the other direction. The external oblique goes down, the internal oblique goes up, like this. So you have a crisscross pattern that gives a little bit stability. People always think you have to move the core. The basic function of the core muscular is not moving, it's counter rotation, it's providing stability. Stability when you lift something up. Because usually when you lift up and you don't have tension here, you collapse.
That makes a lot of sense. So essentially when we do sit-ups and you know, motion-based core exercises, it is exhausting, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. This is why they say when you do sit-ups, it's more the hip flexors engaging than actually the core.
Most of the people are doing the sit-ups wrong. They're lying down on the floor and trying to get up. And the most important thing, what they forget to do, is to give attention before you start doing the exercise. Sit-up is basically a crunch. It's a very tiny exercise for the abdominal muscles. Most part is hip flexors. Moving the upper body from, I can try to show it, I'm not very good at sit-ups, but the basic muscle, what most people do is they stretch out their tummy and then, they go up. Go up.
So they have no base tension.
No, the idea is first give attention here and then move up. One muscle that is very important for this thing that always gets not considered that much because it's not visible. It's the transversus abdominis. Transversus means all around. And it's a muscle that starts from the spine and goes all around to the front. And it's like, we call it the natural weight belt, because it's like a weight belt. It's going around here and providing the basic stability, especially it's very low here. And how do you activate this muscle? And this is a problem because you cannot consciously, like, the six-pack tense it. We have two tricks for you to imagine it. The first thing is, imagine that you're stepping in very cold water. So this, when you going up, automatically you can see in the profile, this is my normal stomach. Normal stomach. I hate it when I present myself like that. Normal stomach, and when I step in, it's like, you tense it inside. By the way, I'm not always looking like this. We just had a training session. I'm not usually running around in rowing outfit. But when you tense it, the other idea is try to get your belly button to your spine. So tense it here. You can feel the transversus if you dig down, deep down here, not on the obliques, on the muscles here. If you dig down here, above the hip bone, and then try this whoo. And then you sense that deep down here, there's something that's giving stability. Mm-hmm. And when we hinge with the hips, we need to have the core stable. This is why the good morning is such a good exercise for rowers.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Because in the good morning, you have a stable core and you hinge only in the hips.
Yeah.
It's the hip bone. And it's not this movement going around.
Exactly.
And this is what happens on the rower very, very often.
Yeah, I see this very often with athletes. They lack the capacity at the finish position. They move out, and then this happens.
Yeah.
And what I want to happen is this, a motion around the hip joint.
Yeah.
And a lot of people seem to be simply incapable of doing it.
The fun thing is nobody is incapable of doing it because everybody can move the legs up. It's the wrong thinking process. Mm-hmm. When we say go forward, we usually do not go forward with the pelvis.
Exactly.
We go forward with the lower back. Maybe we can show it on the bio rower. So now I'm very tense here.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of tension in here.
And
like this.
One important remark, at that stage, this is what is so important for me. I do want to, essentially, we still want to have a full force transfer from the feet onto the blades through the hands, which means if that part is loose and weak, there is zero transfer. That's an issue.
If I'm loose and weak, I'm like this. So I have no connection. I have connection with a little bit with the heels.
Yeah, and a lot of people drop their elbows and then they bring the shoulders back. This is
like this.
I'm being sarcastic. This is my least, this is my favorite position. A position like this is almost a guarantee you're not going to be as fast as you can be. So the opposite would be to have tension. And tension is what Charley's going to explain how it works.
And the tension is the tension very low in the core. It's not like I want to be strong in hip. It's this imaginary stepping into cold water. For me, this is what always works the best. And trying to push the thoracic spine a little bit upwards when I'm going up. It's like I'm moving almost like this.
So for me personally, it feels like I try to grow from the low trunk. So instead of bringing my chest out, I'm trying to bring my upper abs and lower abs. Yeah. I grow from...
Yeah, it's getting taller.
Yeah, getting taller.
On the front side, getting taller here.
Yeah.
This is the movement. So next thing is you keep this movement when you rock over. You still got tension. Lots of people, when they finish, they collapse and go forward.
Yeah, and one more thing that happens very often to the finish. Can you go to the finish for a second? A lot of people collapse in the low trunk, but they keep their shoulder stiff, and then the first thing you do, quick hands away, being sarcastic here, boom, you tighten up your deltoids, but the trunk is loose. So you do everything not to control the boat. What we need to do is reverse it. So we need to keep the elbows low and loose. Here in the recovery, low and loose, but remain super stable here so we can actually rotate around the hip joint. We still sit on the same position on the seat, but we load it from a different angle.
Maybe something that can also help is imagining your pivoting point being your sit bones.
Yeah.
It's the bones, the little hard bones you feel on the downside. This is the thing that has contact, and this is basically pushing into the seat and rocking over like this. So it's not here going forward, it's this motion. You can see it with this rowing suit. You can see it very nice because it has this white line. Where is it here?
Shout out to 776 BC to Australia.
Yeah.
Well done.
So, and then you can see that I'm now moving with all of my trunk and not with the upper trunk only. Now you can see that the line is still pointing backwards.
Yeah.
But I'm forward.
Yeah, parts of you is forward, but...
Not the important part.
Exactly, and this is also what... Because if you keep this part loose and go forward with a loose trunk, you create a bend in your spine, and your spine is not designed to transfer energy around a corner, around an angle. Your hip joint is, but your spine is not. What we want is a linear transfer from your armpit to your hip joint with the muscle structure we've got, because there are not sufficient numbers of bones to do this.
No insect shell.
No insect shell, no exoskeleton. So, for a change, we lost battery. So now that we try to find out what of the many things we said is actually on camera, we know that we very naturally pick off, and this is exactly what I like about that sit bone analogy.
Yes.
Because if you know how to load the seat, I'm very natural now, then you know exactly that you should feel like you push yourself off the seat in order to grow when you come to the catch.
Up here. The movement is not, I tried to get my arms out of the equation. The movement is not here, turning here, and then going forward. The movement is turning on the very, very low part on the seat bone. This is like move this. And when you go forward, it's not only that you go forward, you also go a little bit up.
Yeah, to me it feels like a roll. Roll up.
It's like rock over, and then you are already in position. You don't have to move anything more. You can let a little bit loose, but when you go into the wind, then you brace again.
Yeah.
And then you have the braced core. Immediately the lats are braced, the arms convert the energy directly to the feet, and you don't have any loss of energy.
Exactly.
When you go back.
That's the point. Can you come up to the catch? So the idea here at the catch is, and that's what I'm trying to convey so often, the slightest bit of force on your feet, the slightest bit, not the most you can produce, should result in exactly the same amount of force on your hands, and that only works if the trunk is in the equation. If the trunk is too soft, too loose.
And something I also notice, which may be something for the next video, also your glutes have to be
in tension. Yeah.
But for this video, without a lower core and without the transversus and the stable core, remember the basic function of the core muscles is counter rotation to give stability.
Yeah.
And if you don't have it, you cannot transfer energy. The energy gets lost in between.
So I think we can establish that the quintessential information of this video we try and convey, and we're not quite done yet, is are there to stabilize, not to generate motion.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what we need in rowing.
Yeah.
Okay. And takeaway number 2 is that the 6-packs look great, but they are not that important.
No.
Because they only help you to crunch, but they don't help you to stabilize.
So there is no need in making them visible. Sorry.
Okay, so the kind of exercise we need is something I like to do is a good morning.
Good mornings are very, very good.
And the front disc raises.
Yep.
If you do them correctly.
Yep.
And you don't need special tools for that. Let me get a broom.
And maybe you should do the front raise.
Okay.
And the good mornings, because you have a super, super stable lower back and you are very mobile.
Thank you, Charlie. What do you want to drink?
Champagne. So,
Charlie, I brought out the best gym tool we have in the workshop, which is a broom. For me, the good morning is more important than squats and everything else because it's the rotation around the hip joint. So you slightly bend your knees, you try to go into a hollow back position, and then I try to rotate down.
Okay. And Aram is very, very mobile here. You can see it is completely flat. This is the lower back. This still is the hip bone, and this is the lower back. And the lower back is completely straight with him. Now back up again. Whoops. And when you see my hand is resting there, it's not moving. Whoops. And the movement is down here. It's the whole pelvic thing that's shifting. Now back up. Whoops. And down again. And this is very good to train. And you don't need lots of weights. You don't need weights at all, basically.
I'm just using the broomstick to
give the stability.
As a guide.
You have, with the broomstick, you have the stability because it brings up your chest.
Yeah.
I've seen a video of a British long distance runner, I think Mo Farah, or I don't know, he was an Olympic champion in London. And he's a super tiny guy. And he was squatting 3 plates. This is 20, 40, 60,
60 kilos,
140 kilos.
140 total, yeah.
This is like 300 pounds. And a guy who's weighing maybe like 120 or 130 pounds. He was squatting 3 plates with legs that are his thighs were like my calves. But, for example, his thighs are tree trunks, for example. Nevertheless, this is the reason why he can move also very far down, because he's got very strong legs.
Yeah. So, good morning.
Good morning. One exercise.
And the second one I love, the front disc raises. And you don't need a disc for this. So, this is a sprocket of a Birower Pro sprocket. And this, we call this our disc. It's a bit oily, my apologies. You want to do it? No, I can do it, that's fine. Okay. So the most important thing about the front disc raises is that you don't do it like this and say, I don't feel my shoulders at all. Nobody cares about your shoulders. This is not about your shoulders. This is about going to a hollow back position, slightly bend your knees, same as a good morning, and then you rotate a bit forward, and then you go up. And what you will feel is your core right here. It's so difficult. It's like pushing this thing up with your core.
And the good thing is, he just showed, you feel it here and there. This is the transversus that you're feeling. You're feeling this stability that you're generating with it. You don't even need lots of weight. This is like...
You can do it with this.
Yeah.
And it's still exhausting.
But you need a slight angle forward.
Yeah.
Which immediately activates it. Maybe you can see that. I'm not very well trained, but when I do it, maybe you can see it a little bit from the side.
I bet there are many 60-year-olds who would love to be as trained as you.
No, but... Thank you. No, if I now try to lift it, I have to, whoops, engage.
Yeah,
here.
right here. And this is hard.
Whoop.
This is tension.
And it gets even harder here. And once again up here. And this strengthens this muscle in here.
And this exercise is ideal for rowing because we don't want to engage the deltoids as much. It's not about how strong your shoulders are. It's a secondary parameter. It's more important how well you can transfer, because ultimately we want to transfer from hands to feet. So the weakest link is usually not the shoulder. The weakest link is, I would say, the bottom part of the shoulder, the armpit, down into the hip joint.
Yeah.
This is where all the mishaps happen.
Yeah. And this is, mishaps is one thing. The other thing, from my personal experience in rowing, loss of energy.
Yeah.
I'm able now, after this training and after engaging the core, I'm able to pull way more watts with way less effort.
Legs effort.
Legs effort.
I hear this from many coaches. Legs, legs, legs. Your legs carry your body weight around all day.
Yeah.
They easily overpower everything else. It's not the legs that are the weakest point.
And especially if you've been sitting on a desk or playing with a mobile for, I don't know, a couple of years, getting the muscles completely inactive. You still have to walk, so your legs always be stronger than your core and the rest, and then you overpower it.
Yeah. So, key takeaways. Let me check the camera.
Do we still have juice?
Are you recording or you're not recording? You are. Okay.
Oh, you forgot to switch it on.
Not true. You know how many videos I actually recorded not twice but 3 times?
Yes, I know.
So
I know the same thing with me.
So Charley is a tinnitus specialist, and Charley has done many recordings, and we share the same memories of silly, very long, unnecessary long recording sessions.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Long nights.
That was a good one. Didn't record.
Why is the red light not shining? After 10 minutes of fix.
Okay. So key takeaways. Carry your luggage, carry your groceries, because it's called pharma carries and it's healthy. Don't activate your deltoids, activate your core, and forget the 6-pack. It's more important what you don't see. It's not good to be overweight, shall we say that? It's not good to be overweight.
Definitely.
No,
it's not good to be overweight.
No.
But the six-pack is a very precious muscle, so when we get older, usually around 30, we all men protect it with a little layer of some protective dampening material.
Eat gummy bears and protect your six-pack. Okay. But we can establish that the six-pack is not as important as the rest of the muscles.
Obliquus, externus, internus, transversus.
Obliquus, externus, internus, transversus. Okay. And we can establish that the core's main purpose is not motion.
Yes.
It's stability.
Counter rotation.
Yeah.
It's stability.
To uphold the physical integrity of the body.
Yes, and to uphold the structure. Simply to hold, not uphold, but hold up. Hold up.
Hold up. Yeah.
The rib cage. You know.
That is true. Yeah.
Keep it there, because if you don't have any tension here,
we can also, it's a key takeaway, remember that we are naturally deprived of good prerequisites to be rowers because we're not insects.
Yeah.
We don't have an insect shell, no exoskeleton, but an endoskeleton, which is not very well distributed in the trunk. So it's the muscles that hold us together.
And we need to get the structural, we need a shell. So we have to make the shell ourselves.
Absolutely. And
everybody has the shell built in. Core muscles is not something that you don't have. You simply don't activate them. You have forgotten how to activate them.
That's a good point. What else I found very interesting what you said is that if you have very short hamstrings, it's not a lack of flexibility, it's a lack of strength because the muscles have this self-protection mechanism.
Yeah. It is a tiny bit of not being stretching enough, but all the people that cannot move down here and stay here have the problems that they have no hamstrings at all, almost, and the body says, danger, 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 I have to hold against it. The body wants to protect itself. The shooting pain in the back, I don't know how it's called in English, Hexenschuss in German.
Oh.
When you make a
wrong
movement and then bock something, and it's very, very painful. It's not the nerves, the pinched nerve that is giving the pain. It's the muscles that cramp up because they sense that the vertebrae is unstable and they try to protect it by cramping up incredibly strong. I had this experience once, very, very funny. It was in the morning. I was making the beds of my children, made a wrong movement, snapped my back, fell down on the floor, was lying there. Kids were in school, and I was, okay, my handy is in the kitchen, my mobile is in the kitchen, like 20 meters away. How do I get there?
And there was no Hey back then?
No, so old times. Most important thing is, it's the muscles that tense up very much. So you need to get strong in the end range of motion. This is why the good morning is
another
a very good idea.
takeaway. Good mornings are essential.
Yeah.
We said the front disc raises. I mean, there are many more exercises, and we probably can introduce them in the following videos.
Yeah. What you also can do, if standing is somewhat too heavy on the hamstrings or something, you can do them seated. Yeah. You can also do them just like sitting on something. Have it back here, ruining your microphone. Sitting back here, and then simply move down.
Which is actually more like rowing.
Like this. Then you have a little bit more of legs to work also with it, which maybe is quite a good idea because you also have the tension here in the glutes and here outside, because this is also what you need in rowing when you push back. But moving down here and up, and try to hold your back. Some people also do it like this. Take a broomstick up here, and the broomstick is not allowed to get disconnected with any part. It's the wrong side, so like this.
It's a bit like a unicorn exercise.
Yep. Broomstick is not allowed to go away here or here.
Yeah.
Stay like this and move up. And do down. Do 20 of those, and you will hate me the next day.
Okay, and another key takeaway is you don't need special tools. I mean, everybody's got a broom, or you should have a broom at home, I hope. If not, take something that is a bar, and it's good. You don't need a lot of weight. Mostly it's end range mobility and strength that we need. Yeah.
Wait later. Front races, take a bottle of water.
Yeah.
Something like this. No heavy weights. There are also these people trying to do front disc races with 45-pound plates. And they do exactly the opposite. It's, they all take the plate. I need a plate, I need a plate. Oops. Take the heavy plate, and then they make hip. And then this basically is a kettlebell swing.
Yeah.
And it goes up. Same thing with the bicep curls. The people always are using too much weights, and they are doing this, and moving 45-pound plates in the bar.
Which is more an exercise for the hip extension chain than anything else. I think that's it for today. And well, if you have any more, if you have questions, ideas, and say, what about this, and da-da-da. So we have plans for more videos. One is going to be the, what's that in English, iliosacral?
Iliosacral, the joint in between your sacrum, the last part of your spine, the sacrum.
ISG, I think is what they call it.
ISG is the short name. Ilio, it's the iliac bone, the hip bone. And sacrum is the last part of the spine. And iliosacral joint, in German ISG, Iliosakralgelenk, ISG. Or
okay.
I think in English, ISJ.
ISG.
So, and this is which always gets blocked very often.
Yeah.
And there, I think we should show a sequence of exercises you can do to mobilize itself. You don't need a chiropractor, you don't need injections.
Yeah.
And not necessarily an MRI like today.
Yeah. So that's on our list of things we want to do. But if you have more ideas, say, I got pain there, and that's an issue here, and da-da-da. So that is, send us a message right now to info@aramtraining.com. Charley will have his own channel in the future, which I'm going to link as soon as it is up. It's going to be called healthforgrownups.de, the abbreviation. I'm going to write it in the description. And if you have any ideas or comments or remarks, put them in the comment section or send an email to info@aramtraining.com, and we will respond to that, because we want to, know how we can help you best. So the more information you provide, the better we can help you. I think that's it for today, Charley.
That's it.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Always.